Cool, so we'll all start off sitting with your legs crossed. And try and just sit really tall through your spine. Let your hands rest on your lap and your eyes close. And we'll begin today's practice with mindful breathing. So just inhaling and exhaling, not pushing the air down or forcing the air out, but just observing what happens to your breath when you just breathe. And bringing your observation to the quality of the breath. So how deep does the breath go? And how does it affect the muscles of your breathing? Maybe you bring your attention to the sound of your breath. What sound does your body make when it inhales? Maybe you can observe even the temperature of the air as it comes into your body. When it hits the back of your throat and goes down into your lungs. And it's in the process of bringing your attention to all of these minute details of something as ordinary as breathing that you bring your mind into your body's time, which is always in the present. So bring a little bit more intention into your breath, so inhaling a little bit deeper, and as you inhale, your spine gets a little bit taller. And as you exhale, you draw your belly button in towards your spine and up towards your heart, so you're scooping out your belly and creating a little hollow place. Just observing for a moment how that changes your breath. And bringing movement with the breath, we'll inhale, raising both hands up over your head. So your lungs are full by the time your fingertips touch the sky. And then exhale, fingertips out to the sides until your lungs are empty and your fingers find the floor. Once your fingers find the floor, ground out for a moment, pushing out all the air from your lungs, like so you're fully empty. Big inhale, raising both hands back up towards the sky. And when you get to the top, sipping in a little bit of air at the top. So you're as full as can be. Again, exhale, reaching both hands out to the sides. So your fingertips find the floor and your lungs are empty. One more time, inhaling, raising both hands up to the sky. Sipping in a little bit of air at the top. And then exhale, folding over at the waist into an easy forward fold. So no matter where you end up here, if your chin is resting on your chest or your forehead is on the floor, just taking in a few deep breaths and just seeing where the breath goes when there's no room for your belly to expand. If you're ready, slowly walking both hands over to the right side, just about as far as feels comfortable. Feel that little stretch into your left hip. Taking a deep breath with a long exhale, draping your body over your right thigh. Breath here. And slowly walking both hands over to the left, just about as far as feels good. Feel that stretch down into your right hip. Taking a deep breath, long exhale, draping your body over your left leg. Two more breaths here. And slowly walking both hands back to center one more time. Maybe walking your fingertips out a little bit further than they were the first time. And if you have any thoughts that are still nagging in your brain, you can drop them off down on the mat. And if they're really important, you can pick them up later. If not, just leave them there forever. Slowly pushing yourself all the way back up. Inhale, raising both hands up over your head. And then we're going to exhale, dropping your right hand down to the floor. So you can post, kind of get that little bit of support. And then bend at the right elbow to lower down as you extend your left arm over your head towards the wall behind you. And you can have that moment where you can kind of collapse through your torso, or you can use that hand to kind of keep your body a little bit straighter and extend that top arm a little bit further. And just rolling your left shoulder blade over your right so you can take the gaze up towards the ceiling underneath you. Taking a deep breath. And then on the exhale, squeeze from the obliques while you push with the hands, coming all the way back up. Both hands come to the sky. And then dropping your left hand down by the side. Finding that support. And then reaching your right arm over your head as you bend your left elbow to kind of come into that stretch. But your left arm is there to support you so you don't just collapse through your torso, but you extend that arm so you feel the stretch from your armpit all the way down to your right hip. Rolling your right shoulder blade over left so you can gaze up towards the ceiling. Maybe just give yourself a little AM armpit check. Pretty good. Coming back up towards center. And then glitter fingers all the way down to the ground. Star, sunshine, magic, happiness. And we'll make your way onto all fours on your mat. So with your fingertips spread wide, your knees underneath your hips, we're going to come into cat and cow. So inhaling to look up, dropping your belly down towards the floor. And then on the exhale, curving your chin towards your navel. As you bring your spine up towards the ceiling as high as you can, and you scoop your tailbone underneath you. So going at your own breath here, I'm not going to give you the cues, but inhaling to look up. And then exhaling to curve. And just going at your own pace. And try to feel each vertebrae sliding over the other. From the base of your skull, all the way down to your tailbone. I figure we'll do 3 more passes up and down. Slowly wake up your spinal column. Pull the muscles in your shoulder girdle. And then eventually we'll meet in a nice neutral spine. Pushing your heart away from the floor, we're going to roll your right shoulder blade up, reaching your right fingertips towards the ceiling. Taking a deep breath, and then on the exhale, we're going to thread your right arm underneath your left to bring your right ear down towards the floor, your right shoulder blade resting on the floor. We're going to stay here for about 5 breaths total. So inhaling and exhaling, just as you exhale, letting your upper body settle onto the floor a little bit more as we stretch out that back, shoulder, and your neck. For 2 more breaths. Pushing up your left hand, raising your right arm back up towards the ceiling, opening all the way up, and then bringing that right hand down towards the mat. And we'll switch sides. So just taking a second to push your heart away from the floor so that shoulder is engaged, and then reaching your left arm up towards the ceiling, rolling your left shoulder blade back, taking a deep breath, and then on the exhale, threading your left arm underneath your right to bring your left ear down towards the ground. Again, trying to create a little bit of space in between your ear and your shoulder here. And on the exhaling breath, just letting your upper body be as heavy as can be. We'll hold here for 2 more breaths. And then to come out, we'll push off your right hand, raising your left arm back up towards the ceiling, rolling through the shoulder, and then coming back down onto all fours. Take a second to resettle if you need to. And then again, pushing your heart away from the floor so your upper shoulder girdle is engaged. We're going to reach your right arm out in front of you. So your right biceps is in line with your ears, but you're taking the gaze straight down to the floor. And then pushing your left heel straight back behind you. We're going to take in a deep breath, And then on the exhale, connect elbow to knee under your body. Inhale to extend, pushing your heel away from you and your fingertips out in front of you. And then exhale to connect. Inhale to extend. One more time to make the connection. One more time to extend. And then coming back down onto all fours. Take a second to resettle. Again, twisting your shoulders. So your shoulders are engaged, reaching your left arm out in front of you. And then pushing your right heel straight back behind you, creating that length through your body. Taking a deep breath. And then as you exhale, connect elbow to knee. Inhale to extend. Exhale to connect. Inhale to extend. One more time making the connection. One more time extending. And then coming back down onto all fours. Bring your knees out to either side of the mat with your big toes together. We're going to come all the way back into child's pose. Walking your fingertips out in front of you, dropping your forehead down towards the mat. So a little bit of an active child's pose. So we're going to tent your hands like if you had like a little rock underneath each hand. And from your fingertips, gently push your butt down towards your heels. Inhale deeply and exhale completely. When flattening out your hands, we're going to curl under your toes and come into first downward dog of the class. For first downward dog, you pedal your heels, you kind of roll your hips, roll your shoulders. You still just kind of loosen up. Just maybe observing what's going on inside your body, what feels tight, what feels good. We'll stay here for 2 more breaths. And then walking your feet to your hands, make your way all the way forwards into your forward fold. Letting your head and your arms relax, taking in a deep breath, long exhale. If you want to do horse lips, that's always fun to do. You can shake out your head and your arms when you do it, because that's what horses do. And that's why they're always so relaxed. Bending at the knees, curling one vertebrae up at a time, all the way to standing like you're a rag doll. Make your way all the way up, hands come up over your head, and grab onto your giant golden orb of happiness. And that's yours. You can keep that with you forever. Pass it over towards one side of the room, extending it as far as you can so you get that stretch all the way down into your hip. On the exhale, squeeze from the obliques to come back up to center, and then fold over in the opposite direction. Go back up towards the middle, opening up your heart into a gentle back bend and the limitless possibilities that a Wednesday under quarantine has to offer. And then exhale to fold down into your forward fold. Inhale, lengthen out through the crown of your head, flattening along your spine. And then exhale to walk yourself all the way out into your plank. So for our first chaturanga, we'll lower down knees, chest and chin, keeping your elbows tight into your sides, coming all the way onto your belly. And then pulling yourself forward, keeping your elbows in towards your sides, coming up into baby cobra. So pressing the tops of your feet into the floor, and strengthening the muscles in your lower back to bring your head and your chest up. And then pushing off your hands and knees all the way back into your child's pose. Breathing deep, stretching out through your lats. And then curling under your toes to come into your downward facing dog. And this time holding the downward dog with a little bit more intention. So perhaps a little bit less movement. And pushing your heels down to the floor behind you. And pushing the backs of your knees to the wall behind you. At the same time, you're trying to keep your head loose and relaxed. And anytime you want to do horse lips, you can, because you're at home and you won't bother anyone. Hold here for 2 more breaths. Looking in between your hands, walking your feet forwards, back into your forward fold. Inhale, lengthen out through the crown of your head, flattening your spine. And then exhale, folding down a little bit deeper. And then inhale, coming all the way to standing, raising both hands up over your head. And again, finding that big old golden orb of joy, right? Squeeze onto it, pushing your feet down into the floor, extending it towards one side of the room, reaching as far as you can. Exhale, squeeze from the obliques, coming back up to center, folding over in the opposite direction. One more time, opening up your heart. And then exhale to fold down into your forward fold. Inhale, lengthen out through the crown of your head, flattening your spine. And then exhale, walking yourself out into your plank. You can either lower knees, chest, chin, or take full high to low push-up, chaturanga. Both are good. You can stick with baby cobra or pull yourself up into upward facing dog. Drawing your shoulder blades back together. And then curl over your toes into your downward facing dog. From here, we're going to raise your right foot up behind you, pushing your right heel up to the ceiling as high as you can. And then opening up at the hip to drop your right heel down towards the crown of your head. Roll your right ankle, wiggle your right toes. And then stepping your right foot through in between your hands for a low lunge. And then pausing here for a moment, just giving a little rock front and back to open up that left hip flexor. Take a look over one shoulder. As you do so, kind of roll your hips. So that changes the stretch all the way down into your hips. Take a look over your left shoulder. And then dropping your back heel down to the ground at about a 45-degree angle. Lengthening through your spine, and then leading with the heart to float all the way up into Warrior One. So the heel of your back foot is down on the floor. Your foot's at about a 45-degree angle. You're drawing your right hip back and your left hip forwards, so you're square off to the front of the mat. As you inhale, your pinkies reach up a little bit higher, and then as you exhale, you kind of draw your shoulder blades down and your heart forwards. Two more breaths here. And then opening up into your Warrior Two. So reaching both hands out in opposite direction. And just taking a moment to see that the heel of your front foot is in line with the arch of your back foot. Adjust your stance if you need to. And then settle a little bit deeper into the pose, keeping your shoulders down away from your ears. Your pinkies reaching out far. Dropping your back hand down to your back thigh, find that support there, and reaching your top arm over your head behind you. Peaceful warrior. And still rolling that right shoulder blade over the left, so your heart's checking out what's going on above you as you settle down a little bit deeper into the pose. On an exhale, we'll bring your right elbow to your right knee. Finding that support there. And then reaching your left arm up towards the ceiling and rolling your left shoulder blade back. And if that feels comfortable, we can bring your left biceps in line with your left ear, but still extending the crown of your head towards the front of the room. So you're still striving for that length. Imagine like you're trying to create a straight line from the outside edge of your left foot all the way to your pinkies of your left hand. So keeping that strength in your front leg, reach your bottom arm underneath and grab onto that big old golden orb of happiness. That's yours and yours alone. Extend it up to the ceiling and towards the back of the room. Reach it towards the front of the room, extending as far forwards as you can. One more time up into the back of the room. And then cartwheeling both hands down either side of your front foot. Walk yourself out into your plank and take whichever form of chaturanga you prefer. Knees, chest, chin, or high to low push-up. As long as your elbows stay tight into your sides. Inhale into baby cobra or upward facing dog. And then curl over your toes into your downward dog. I'm just taking a moment to appreciate the difference from one leg to the other after that little warrior sequence. Raising your left leg all the way up behind you, pushing your left heel as high to the ceiling as you can, and then opening up at the hip to drop your left heel down towards the crown of your head. You'll wiggle your left ankle, wiggle your left toes. And then stepping your left foot through in between your hands for a low lunge. Pausing there and just giving a little rock front and back to open up your right hip flexor. Maybe bounce up and down. That always feels kind of nice. And then take a look over one shoulder. And as you do so, kind of roll through the hips so you can see the world behind you. See how that changes the stretch. Coming back to center. Look over the other shoulder. And then dropping your back heel down to the ground at about a 45-degree angle. You're going to lengthen through the spine and then float all the way up into your warrior one. The outside edge of your back foot pressing into the floor, pulling your right hip forwards and your left hip back. So you're always just trying to square off towards the front of the mat. So you inhale, your pinkies reach up a little bit higher. As you exhale, you draw your heart forwards and your shoulder blades back. Two more breaths here, keeping that back leg strong and engaged. And then opening up into your warrior two. Reaching both hands out in either direction, just taking a moment to adjust your feet so the heel of your front foot is in line with the arch of your back foot. And then driving that left knee forwards to come into the pose a little bit deeper. Softening the muscles on your face. Then dropping your back hand down to your back leg, reaching your top arm over your head behind you. And as you extend those left fingertips towards the world behind you, you're going to drive your left knee forwards. So you really start to open up everything in the rib cage, all the way into your shoulder. Two more breaths here. And then on the exhale, we'll transition, bring your left elbow to your left knee, reaching your right arm straight up towards the ceiling, and then rolling your left shoulder blade over the right. So now it's like you're stuck in between two panes of glass. And then reaching your right arm forwards, bringing your your right biceps in line with your right ear. And extending the crown of your head towards the front of the room. So your spine is still really long. No part of it is collapsing towards the floor. Taking the gaze forward, keeping that front leg really strong. You're going to reach your bottom arm underneath to grab onto your big old golden orb of happiness. Extend it up to the ceiling, towards the back of the room. Reaching it towards the front of the room as far forwards as you can. One more time up into the back of the room. Then cartwheel, bringing both hands down to either side of your front foot. Walk yourself out into a plank, and whichever form of chaturanga you prefer. Knees, chest, chin, or high low push-up. Come into baby cobra or upward facing dog. And then curl over your toes into your downward dog. Raising your right foot all the way up behind you towards the ceiling. We're going to float your right knee towards your right elbow, making that connection. Send your right leg straight back up behind you. And bring your right knee to your left elbow, crossing under your midline. Again, making that connection. Send straight back up behind you. Bring your knee to your nose. Try and actually kiss your kneecap. Send straight back up behind you. And then folding your right leg through into pigeon pose. So right knee is trying to get behind your right wrist. Right ankle is trying to get behind your left wrist. And then you wiggle your left foot back so it's more or less center on the mat. and your hips come down pretty gosh darn close to the floor. Once you find your position, inhale, lengthen out through your spine, and then exhale, walking yourself down to let your forehead rest on either the floor, or you can stack your hands, or if you have a big pillow nearby, you can rest on that. We're going to stay here for a little while. And just inhaling and exhaling, breathing deeply and completely. And as you inhale, you bring a lot of air into your body, and it kind of creates this space. And then as you exhale, just try and soften your muscles so your body fills in that space. And hold here for 3 more long, slow, deep breaths. And then whenever you're ready to come up, slowly walk yourself all the way back up. Pausing for a moment at the top. Take a look over one shoulder for gentle spinal twist. See if you can see the world behind you. Looks pretty good. Take a look over the other shoulder. Nice to know nobody snuck into your room while you were in pigeon pose. It happens sometimes, and it's always alarming. You're like, whoa! And then curling under your back toes, make your way all the way back into your downward facing dog, taking your time to get there. Is just kind of feel the benefits of doing pigeon pose. See how that kind of opens up your hips or wakes something up inside you. So we're going to raise your left foot all the way up behind you. Float your left knee to your left elbow, hovering above the ground for a moment. Send it straight back up behind you. Bring your left knee to your right elbow, hovering above the ground for a moment. Send it straight back up behind you. Then bring your knee to your nose. Try and kiss your left kneecap. Straight back up behind you. And then folding your left leg all the way through into your pigeon pose. So again, left knee is kind of behind your left wrist. Left ankle is kind of behind your right wrist. And then wiggling your right foot back so your hips get down as close to the ground as feels like, okay, I'm not going to hurt myself. Inhale, lengthen out through your spine. And then exhale, walking yourself down until your forehead rests on either the floor or your hands. And we'll stay here again for about a total of 10 yoga breaths, which means actually like 20 regular breaths. Just inhaling deeply and slowly. And if anything feels uncomfortable here, or a little bit too tight, or you feel kind of grumpy in this pose, that's cool, that happens. Just observe that feeling and then bring your attention back to your breath work. Inhaling deeply and exhaling completely. Here for about 3 more breaths. And then whenever you're ready, you're going to slowly walk yourself back up. Again, pausing for a moment at the top, take a look over one shoulder. See the world behind you. Take a look over the other. Coast is clear. So from here, we're going to roll over onto your left bum cheek and bring your right leg around in front of you. And kind of scoot your bum towards the top of your mat. With the soles of your feet together, and walk your bum towards your heels. So you're coming just about as close as can be. Take a moment to flap those butterfly wings like you want to take off in the sweet summer sunshine. But you're not a butterfly. You're a human. Let's go. So lengthening out through your spine. We're going to clasp onto those toes, take in a deep breath, and then as you exhale, draw your elbows out to the sides as you bring your forehead down towards those little piggies. And once you're all folded forwards, just taking in a few deep breaths and long exhales. Again, just noticing how deep a breath goes when there's no room for your belly to move forwards. And what happens when you exhale? Can you fill in that space with your breath? Whenever you're ready, leading with the heart, coming all the way back up. Drawing your shoulder blades back down away from your ears. And bring your knees together. We're going to straighten out your legs in front of you. Moving any muscle out of the way so you can find those sits bones sitting firmly on the floor. I like rub your butt into the floor for a second because it's yoga. And then flexing your toes towards you, wiggling those little piggies. Inhale, raising both hands up over your head. And then exhale to fold, to grab onto your toes or your calves or back of your knees, wherever you grab onto is wherever you grab onto. And then just let your forehead drop down towards your knees. And same thing like we did in the last forward fold, just taking in deep breaths, long exhales. So creating space with the inhale and then filling it in with a stretch on the exhale. And your hands are here just to kind of give you a little bit of support, but you're not actively pulling yourself forwards. If you want to make the stretch a little bit more intense for your hamstring, think about squeezing the tops of your legs to push the backs of your knees down into the floor. Stay here for 3 more long, slow, deep breaths. Whenever you're ready to come out of it, you're going to reach out past wherever your hands are and then float all the way back up. And then exhale, hands down by your sides. You're going to make your way all the way onto your back. Just going to adjust my mat a little bit so y'all don't have to look at my butt for the next couple minutes. Okay. So bending your knees, putting your heels down on the floor so you can just about find your heels with your fingertips. You're going to try and bring your feet in line with your hips and your knees in line with your hips. So you have like this nice straight line going on. And then we're going to push off your heels, raising your hips up towards the ceiling as high as you can. If you have a block nearby or a pillow, you can put it underneath here for sacral release. Or you can interlace your fingers and walk your elbows and your triceps towards each other. So you kind of stack your body up off the floor. As you do so, you're trying to pull your knuckles down towards your heels. And all the while, squeezing your bum and hamstrings to bring your hips up towards the ceiling. We'll hold here for 4 more breaths. And exhale, slowly release your hands, walking your elbows back away from each other. Bring your bum all the way down towards the floor. And then hugging both knees into your chest. Giving yourself a little rock from side to side. Massaging the muscles of your lower back into the floor. Maybe drawing a circle on the ground. And winding at your feet, we're going to grab onto the outside edges of your feet, like where your pinky toes are. Then gently pull your knees down into your armpits and rock side to side for happy baby. rolling around. And this is the time too where you can just kind of do whatever you want. So if there's a stretch that I didn't cover in the class that you really wanted to do, it's a good time to do it. And happy baby can be like a gentle rockabye baby like this, or it can be like a really, weird baby, like rolling all around, like, how babies can travel across a huge floor without ever like using their feet. So it's like that kind of motion. And then eventually coming back to center and hugging both knees into your chest again. From here, we're going to straighten out your right leg along the floor, pushing your right heel away from you. And then with your right hand, we're going to pull your left knee across your body into a spinal twist and reaching your left arm out to the side. We're going to stay here for a little bit. So the right hand on the left leg is just keeping your leg in position, but it's not actually pulling your leg down towards the floor. What we're trying to do is let the limbs be the weight that take it down to the floor. Long inhales, long exhales. We're sending that message to your body that it's okay to relax. Stay here for about 5 more long, slow, deep breaths. When you're ready, making your way out your back, hugging both knees into your chest again. Just doing a little rock side to side. And straighten out your left leg along the floor, pushing your left heel away from you. Your left hand drawing your right knee across your body, and reaching your right arm out to the side. Your spinal twist in the other direction. Again, just bringing the attention back to your breath work. Like we did in the beginning of the class, those long inhaling breaths, long exhales. Stay here for about 3 more breaths. Whenever you're ready, we're going to slowly make your way onto your back again, hugging both knees into your chest. Oh, one last hug. And when you hug yourself, you can also say, I love you, self. Thanks for doing yoga this morning. You tuck your forehead up into your knees, making your body like a little itty bitty seed. And then straightening out your arms and legs for your Shavasana pose. So with your palms facing the ceiling, and your feet splaying out open to the sides, take the next few minutes to rest in stillness and silence. And in this time, just try and observe your body in a state of rest. See if you can let your body be as heavy as it needs to be on the floor. And it's in this time that you get the full benefit of your yoga practice. slowly wiggling your fingers and your toes. Gradually bring movement back into your body. At your own pace, draw your knees into your chest. Roll over onto your side. Then push yourself up into a comfortable sitting position. And we find ourselves how we began today's practice. Taking a few moments to let your eyes close. Bring the attention back into your breath. Just notice any changes that might have happened over the last hour. Changes in your breath or your body or the state of your mind. And take a moment to send out a message of peace and love, and patience and healing to everyone out there who could use it today. Inhale, raising both hands up over your head. Exhale your hands into a prayer in front of your heart. And we'll close with a single heartfelt namaste. Namaste, everybody. Thank you all so much for practicing with me this morning. Hope to see everyone for Friday morning core class. I'm coming to meet you.